Soon we gonna talk about the AEW Women's World Championship match and how Mercedes Moné lost another big match. Tune in more, Pink Square Circle. We gonna definitely talk about this one. Hey guys, we're going to talk about Kris Statlander finally defeats Mercedes Moné. Now, we're going to talk about the match that just happened last night at AEW's Full Gear 2025. It was in New Jersey, and I have to say it was a good match. They always put on good classes together. But now this one is in the books, guys, because we got ourselves a little trilogy going on. At the three matches, we know that Mercedes Moné was already up 2-0 against Kris Statlander, but this third match counted the most. It was for this time Mercedes Moné competed for the AEW Women's World Championship, currently held by Kris Statlander, and Kris Statlander finally got over that big hump that she could not get over, and that's defeating Mercedes Moné. But I know Mercedes Moné was really not happy about the result of this. She went on social media to express her frustration. As you can see, she dropped the F-bomb online on X, and she told her, she's still upset about losing that big match. We know Mercedes Moné, that was a big thing because she was looking to capture her 14th belt as she holds 13 belts currently. And she also said something else on social media as well. She's also said she said no more disrespect. So she don't want nobody disrespect, say anything crazy. And I'm starting to feel that this ain't just her being in character or storyline. This is really the Mercedes, how she really feels outside of the storyline, because she really wanted that championship. But we know she did not win last night. If you guys missed it, Mercedes Moné lost to Kris Statlander after she hit the pile driver on her. That was it, 1, 2, 3. I'm happy Kris Statlander won this match because she needed this win, as I stated before. I thought Mercedes Moné was going to win, but I said also that it was important to Kris Statlander. She needed this win more than Mercedes Moné needed this win last night at Full Gear. It was a good back and forth between both women. Now, I would say Mercedes Moné, early in the match, she had a good offense because she worked on Kris Statlander's arm. She worked on that arm pretty much the whole match. She tried everything. Like, she tried every submission move. She tried to tap her out. Kris got out of it. She tried to pin her. Kris kicked out after kick out. Kris just could not give up. And I knew after Kris Statlander kicked out that last time and broke free of the hold, I said, Kris Statlander's going to win this one. She's going to come out AEW Women's World Champion. Still the champion. I know the Mercedes Moné fans don't like that, but yes, still champion, Kris Statlander. And now we can give Kris her due. If you guys remember, it's not only did Kris Statlander defeat Mercedes Moné, finally getting a win over her, and of course retaining the AEW Women's World Championship, Kris Statlander has done what no one else has done. She has defeated Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné when it comes to AEW Women's World Championship matches. Now, granted, I know that Toni Storm at All Out, that was a four-way match, but she pinned Toni Storm and she pinned Mercedes Moné. Not too many women in AEW can say that. Kris Statlander's the only one. And also, this puts a lot of respect and credibility on Kris Statlander's World Championship run that she's holding right now. This will make her like a really, really good champion, and a champion that's just not a pushover. But I know she talked about this in the media scrum at Full Gear about how people are going to show her some respect now and not look at her as an underdog anymore.
Up to this match, there was a lot of doubt, most specifically towards you, because you work in as the biggest underdog and you were able to slay the elephant. And also thinking about, after this big win, what has been your biggest takeaways that you can move forward as being AEW's leading lady while also continuing the reign of Saturday Night Fever?
Yes, I have many thoughts coming into today, especially with being perceived as a big underdog, because I have had quite a successful year. I won the #1 spot in both of the first 2 ever women's casino gauntlet matches. I am the women's world champion. So the fact that people still doubted me as a viable threat to Mercedes, even when I said I'm not the same person, is a little bit of a slap in the face, because how am I the underdog when I have something that she's never had? So it is a little harsh to hear, but I just had to use that fuel as a reason to prove to everybody who may or may not have believed in me that I'm not an underdog anymore. I never was. I haven't been. I am a former champion. But, if that's how people see me, I will just continue to keep putting it in their face that I am not that.
You also did twice what Mercedes could not do. You beat timeless Toni Storm.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report. Going off of that, actually, you beat Toni Storm and Mercedes in the last 30 days, 2 of the most unbeatable women's stars in AEW history. Who's left for Kris Statlander to conquer?
Who's left? I mean, whoever wants to step up, whoever you think might be a viable option. Who do you think is the next one worthy of challenging the no longer underdog, the top dog, the world's champion, the champion of the world, Kris Statlander?
There's a long line of great challengers. I definitely think coming out of what was arguably your already very impressive reign, and since you won the title, it hasn't been that long, but what you've done has been so impressive. So coming out of tonight, there's going to be a long line of challengers, and to that point, I can't imagine a more impressive way to kick off a championship reign than defending your title against timeless Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
And coming full circle from wrestling Mercedes here at Full Gear in the same arena 1 year ago.
Yeah, really, it was not a very easy start to this reign, but I have prevailed, and I will continue to do so.
Let's go.
How you doing, champ? Marv from Marv Wrestling, and congrats on defending your title tonight. Big story going into tonight was Mercedes potentially capturing her 14th title and finally capturing what she could not, the AEW's Women's World title. So can you tell me how it feels to deny her 14th belt and still keep her in the hunt for the AEW Women's World title and to be the one to keep her in the hunt?
I mean, it feels wonderful because it wasn't only just keeping the title away from her. It was also, finally getting the upper hand on her when she has beaten me twice. I mean, she is the greatest women's wrestler in the world. Let's not forget.
Well, now you are the greatest.
Well, now I am.
wrestler
Yes.
in the
As
world.
of today, I am. But prior to today, she was considered the greatest women's wrestler in the world. And I will continue to give her flowers because she deserves it. But she's not the only one that deserves it. So some people, they need a little bit of a reality check, so to speak. And I'm happy to provide that for whoever needs it, I think.
One more for Kris Statlander.
Aria Whitner at 4WOnline.
All right, that was Kris Statlander at the media scrum for Full Gear. She talked about how defeating Mercedes Moné was good. Now, even though she defeated Mercedes Moné, she gave her flowers, saying she's a good competitor. Now, and she also said that she's the best women's wrestler around. But Kris Statlander, of course, we had Renee and Toni said since she defeated Mercedes Moné, she's now considered the best women wrestler. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you guys consider Mercedes Moné being defeated by Kris Statlander? Now Kris Statlander is the best women's wrestler because she did defeat her and she got over that. The one thing she couldn't do is defeat Mercedes Moné, and she defeated her for her Women's World Championship, allowing Kris Statlander to retain that championship. But I will say also Mercedes Moné, she put up a good effort, but she didn't get there, obviously. And we see how upset she is with the tweets that she sent. And also, Kris Statlander says she's not an underdog. She is the top woman. And she says she never considered herself the underdog. The only thing that did derail Kris Statlander's her progress to where she's at now, was the injury that she had. I want to say back in 2022 when she tore her ACL, I believe. Could be MCL, meniscus, whatever the case may be. She did have an injury a few years ago, and she was out for quite some time. But ever since she's been back, she's been healthy. She has gained, some championships. She's won the TBS Championship and now the AEW Women's World Championship. But it's a good thing for Kris Statlander. She's a respected champion now, because I'm pretty sure some people were concerned, could Kris Statlander be a respected champion? Is she a paper champion? Is she a transitional champion? Well, it's safe to say that she's not. She's good. I will say she, defeated Mercedes Moné. Now, what's going to happen after defeating Mercedes Moné at Full Gear? Who will be her next challenger? We don't know. Does Mercedes Moné get an opportunity at the Women's World Championship again, despite having all those belts? Will it be a new challenger? You got a lot of good women on the roster. You do have the names of Megan Bain. You do have the names of maybe Toni Storm come back. You never know. There's a lot of women on there, a lot of competition on the roster. We could see a new woman come up and challenge Kris Statlander for the championship. We still got Jamie Hayter. We still got a few others, but I don't see Kris Statlander losing the championship right now at this particular moment. I do see her holding on to the championship a little bit longer. She's not going to lose right away. So it's a lot of scenarios of what's going to go down, of how Kris Statlander is going to keep this championship. How long will she keep this championship? Because she's had the championship now for 2 months. But only time will tell how the championship run is going to continue on. But congratulations to Kris Statlander. And we're talking about Kris Statlander finally defeats Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné can't win the big one. What you guys feel about the match at Full Gear? Do you guys agree with the decision of Mercedes Moné losing? Or do you agree with Kris Statlander retaining the Women's World Championship? You guys let me know. Check out the content here below. And until then, guys, of course, as usual, I will see you guys later.